Howdy folks, Ed here. Welcome back to Bullnose Garage. It's the day I've been waiting for since I bought this thing almost 5 years ago. Today, I'm starting to tear down this 351 Windsor engine. So buckle up, come along, and you'll see what surprises I discover, both good and bad. From some shocking discovery, holy, he cut all these, to truly painful lessons, and even how much profit, I'm making off this bad boy. You don't want to miss it. Let's dig in.
Hello.
So, before we start, I'm going to put up what I paid for this 95 F-150 chassis with a 351 Windsor and an E40D transmission. I basically stole it from the guy for $500. So let's put that on the screen and we'll tally the score as we go. What you see is what I got, plus ECM and wiring harness, the steering column, steering wheel, and the gauge cluster. Now I've already sold the gas tanks, the gauge cluster, and the steering wheel with column. So I'm well on my way to at least breaking even and getting the block for free, if nothing else. But I think I'll do a lot better than that. Let's see. By the way, I'm Future Commentary Ed, and I'll be with you the rest of the way.
Double dose.
The first thing I pulled off was the cruise control module, followed by the throttle cable. Both were connected to the throttle body linkage and right on top, so they're easy to get to. And just like that, a quick $75 screw. Cruise control module out. Oh, yeah, I remember this part. So does my thumb. Oh, that's gonna hurt for a while. Trying to take off one of those stubborn ring clamps with pliers, it wasn't pretty. And there's the pain I promised you. The brake fluid reservoir pretty much rotted away completely, so there was no way to drain it without getting brake fluid everywhere. I only got some. Got more in my shoes. That's what being out in the southwestern sun every day for 5 years will do to plastic. So, back when I got this donor chassis from a guy on Facebook Marketplace, he was planning on a build but decided to go another way. I suspect it might be because the frame is bent. He didn't tell me that, but it doesn't really matter since I'm not using the frame. He even trailered over from the next town for free. It's like an hour away, so nice guy. But you know, when you inherit someone else's project, clean things up. There can be surprises. You'll see what I mean later. I am so adept at everything. So amazingly amazing. Wait a minute. Oh man, yeah. The bolts for the brake fluid reservoir and master cylinder were practically welded together with rust, so I ended up taking the whole assembly off. And guess what? It wasn't worth anything. Straight to the trash it goes. All right. What's next? I'm not sure if they drained this fluid or not. Oh, it feels pretty empty. Day one may not seem like much progress, but hey, I'm a noob. Newbies gotta learn somehow. And at least I managed to make a quick $75 and get a bunch of hoses and bits off to start cleaning things up. What about that solenoid?
The EGR vacuum regulator solenoid can be a bit more valuable, especially in good working condition.
Oh, and by the
These
way,
can fail and are
I
part
use
of the
AI
system.
a lot. You might have already noticed from the images on some of my videos, it's a huge help. It's like having a mechanic buddy in my pocket. I can ask questions on the fly and get instant answers for part numbers or how to remove something. I know there are mixed opinions about AI, but I'm not going to apologize or make excuses for using it. It saves me a ton of time and energy. If you're not at least checking it out for yourself, you're kind of missing the boat. If you're interested in how I'm using AI to help with this teardown and with my channel, let me know. I might just make a video about how I use it. Finally getting the radiator off here. It's hung off the front of this thing for 5 years. Do yourself a favor and always be sure to drain the radiator and cooling system before pulling one off. Foreshadowing. I'm planning on keeping it to use in my engine run stand later, so I won't be selling it, but if I did, that'd be a quick 80 bucks. A little bit. By the way, I'm sorry you're spending so much time watching my back in this video. I was more focused on working my way around the engine than keeping an eye on the camera. But don't worry, that's why future commentary Ed is here today, keeping you company. Intake hoses, not worth jack in this condition. I'm saying those aren't worth anything. As I go, I'm snapping pictures to check part numbers, find values, and decide what might be useful for my new build. Spoiler alert, there's not much I want to use, so most of it's either going in the trash or up for grabs in Marketplace. This part is a DPFE sensor, and I know that thanks to my AI friend. I also know it's not worth much. Here I am taking off the alternator. A 3G, by the way. This one won't fit my Bullnose since it's side mount, not pivot mount, so up for sale it goes. That's 40 bucks in my pocket. And hey, if you've got an older truck and haven't done the 3G swap yet, what are you waiting for? I've got a great video on just how to do it. Trust me, it's an easy mod that makes a huge difference. You should go check it out. It'd be amazing if you had a part number. Well, you probably don't. Mr. Unidentified bracket. Unidentified throttle body bracket thing. Scheiße. No part number. I'm guessing the gasket's not worth jack. You're right, Past Dad. The gasket isn't worth jack. Most of them aren't. Whoa, that's a dirty sumbitch. And off comes the throttle body. But even dirty as it is, cleaned up, it'll probably net me around 65 bucks. So that's day 2 in the can and another $85 in my pocket. And if you're keeping score, you notice I'm almost breaking even. And I haven't even talked about the transmission, which will be the next video, differential, or wheels yet. Not too shabby, right? I don't know what that is. It's a vacuum reservoir or something? I don't know. It is. That's what it is. It's a vacuum something. By the way, if any of you know what this hose is, let me know in the comments. I spent an hour searching Google for one and just came up empty. Just like that, I guess. I ended up removing the entire bracket for the smog pump. Why? Well, because to take off just the pump, you have to pull the pulley off, and so you can get to the bolts. It's easier just to take the whole bracket with the pump still attached. I can always separate them later or sell them as one unit. But for accounting's sake, let's break it down. Smog pump, 80 bucks. Bracket, 75. Now, I bet someone who knows what they're doing could have stripped this thing in a short afternoon. For me, it took 4 days, spread over 3 weeks, to get to the point at the end of this video. But hey, I mean, that's how you learn, right? I mean, at least that's how I do it. The AC compressor comes off pretty easy, provided it's already drained. And just a quick reminder, if it's not empty, make sure you handle it safely and legally. Mine was already drained, so it was an easy removal. If you have to drain it, you have to make sure that you don't just vent it into the air. Well, that's another 80 bucks added to the tally. Next up, the transmission cooler. That came off quickly too, and I'm hoping to get around 20 bucks for it. Oh, and then there's that. I'm not sure what size that is. Ooh, it's that size. Ooh, it's that size. Now can I actually get this in here? Probably not. Oh, maybe. Hey, look at that. I decided to just cut the power steering pump lines here since it was a pain to remove. The lines aren't worth anything in this condition anyway. I did gain a valuable lesson in environmentalism though. Come on, you. There, just go in there. Whoops. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was interesting how the power steering lines loop around the front of the chassis here. It's for cooling, like a poor man's radiator. I didn't know that until I worked on this thing. So that's day 3 and a cool $255. Day 4, I decided to get the radiator fan out of the way. I even rented the special tool from the parts store, only to find out I didn't need it. Turns out the fan had 4 regular bolts. A socket and a strap wrench took care of the job. With the clutch included, that's another $80. Power steering pump. Same story as the smog pump. You have to remove the pulley to get it off the bracket, so took the whole thing off instead. Now, I could use this pump for my new build, but I'm probably going to go with a Saginaw pump. Maybe even like a nice chrome one. So this old one is going to go in the sale bin. That's another $65 for the pump and $50 for the bracket. I discovered that the intake has 1 star bolt in the middle on the inside. I'm not sure why they would do that, but clearly I'm not an engineer. I'm sure there's a good reason for that. I don't know what it is. Are you joking? Not only is it a different bolt, but it's tucked down under and between the intake runners, so the star bit I had originally wouldn't fit. The base was too big around. Fortunately, like any man-card-holding member of society, I never throw away a tool. So all I had to do was search long enough to find what I needed. Please be the right size. Oh, that. Kind of small. Please be the right size. There we go. And off comes the upper intake. That right there is a big chunk of aluminum and a big chunk to the kitty. Remember when I mentioned inheriting someone else's project? It's moments like this that remind me that you have to take the bad with the good. Oh, he cut all these. He just cut them all. So these are garbage because he just cut them. Like, he just cut them. I didn't even realize that he did that, but yeah, whoever had it before me just cut them. Just straight up snip, snip. Snip, snip, motherfucker. No, bastard. My guess is that he tried to get it off. Like reasonably. And then probably couldn't. And then so he just decided, nah, fuck it. I'm gonna replace all that shit anyway. But this harness is garbage because he cut all those wires, so unfortunate. The fuel rails might be worth something, but the harness is garbage. Uh-oh. Ooh, I thought maybe I dropped that into the intake. Doesn't really matter. I'm taking it all apart anyway. But that would just mean I had to take it apart. I wouldn't have any choice anymore. Let's go put garbage in the garbage. This harness would have been around 80 bucks, but the previous owner cut the wires to the injectors. Still, just look at that total down there. I cannot complain. And that's as far as I got on my 4-day adventure. Let's head out and take a closer look. Okay, so here's how it sits right now. Fuel rails are still on there. I'll probably go ahead and pull the engine with those on. You see I've got my intake holes covered up here. So I got the transmission to get off of there and all that kind of stuff. I've still got to drain the oil and the tranny fluid. I'll do that probably before I move it. Obviously I've got this issue with this tire here is pretty much roached. I'm not sure if I can roll it like that or not. I don't have to go very far. Just out this gate and over to the garage over there. So I got a plan for that. So yeah, like I said before, I'm leaving the exhaust manifolds on here because I just don't want those big open gaping holes out into the environment here. I'll take that stuff off once I pull the engine. I don't quite yet have a plan for how I'm going to pull the engine in the tranny. I don't have a tranny hoist, but I do have some jacks and a lot of wood. So I think I can figure that out. Backyard mechanic special coming at you. So that's where we are now, but what's the plan? Well, this video is just the start of a whole series covering the complete rebuild of this 351 Windsor, from pulling it out of the chassis all the way to running it down the strip. My goal is to strip this engine down to the block, take it to the machine shop, build it back up, drop it in the truck, and then take it out for a quarter-mile run. And I'm going to cover every single step of the way for guys like me who don't really know what they're doing, but they're ready to learn. Next up is getting that chassis into the garage. And since it can't move under its own power, and it's heavy as hell even without the body, you're probably wondering how I'm going to do that. Don't worry, I got a plan. Stay tuned for that. Once the chassis is in, I'll be pulling the engine off and we'll tear it down together. We'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb, looking at how the engine's been treated, what signs to look for during a rebuild, and everything else you need to know when tackling a project like this. Once that's done, we'll get the block to a machine shop and talk to the machinist. We'll cover all the services they offer, what they cost, what they're for, and why you might need them, or not, depending on your build. We'll go through the whole 9 yards. Then we paint the block. After that, I'll walk you through the entire engine build. We'll talk about component choices, camshaft, valves, lifters, rotating assembly, everything. I'll explain why you choose certain parts, how they work together, and how to build the right kind of engine for your needs, whether it's high torque, high horsepower, street, or strip. And I'll share why I'm making the choices I am for this build. Hopefully, by the end of the series, you'll be able to grab my parts list and replicate my engine build from scratch, even if you're not a mechanic. My goal is to be that detailed with you guys, especially during the build process. Look, I've done my homework. I've bought books. I've read up on everything. I've watched dozens, probably hundreds of YouTube videos. But there's still a lot that I don't know. So I hope to bring in a pro to help fill those gaps. When you're building an engine, missing even one small detail can come back to haunt you later. So I'll make sure we go over everything step by step. That way we can learn together. And if I succeed, great. But if I fail, well, that's great content too, because it'll help you avoid making the same mistakes. Once it's built, I want to get this engine on a stand and fire it up first. Then I'll pull the 306 out and I'll go through that process with you so we can talk about what parts need to keep and what to replace. Cleaning and painting the engine bay, decluttering and cleaning up the electrical system. Then we can drop the Windsor into the truck, get everything hooked up, and take it out for a test drive. And I want you to be there with me for every step. The ultimate goal, well, the last series of this episode will hopefully be me taking that truck to the strip and getting a quarter-mile time. That's where I want to end this series, but not the channel. There's lots more to do than just the engine. Now, it's going to take a while. I'm a busy guy. I got a family and a job and a lot of other stuff going on, but my hope is to create a series of videos that you can sit back, watch, and binge like a Netflix series. And by the time you're done, you'll know exactly how to take an engine off a chassis, rebuild it, and get it running. Guys, if you're excited to follow along with me, here's the ask. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications and keep up with this build. And if you want to support the channel and help me buy some cool performance parts, grab yourself a hat from the merch store. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. I hope you join me for this adventure, and we will see you next time.
She's rough around the edges, but she's doing fine. Take her in away, getting things to shine. At Bullnose Garage, she's considered divine. Thanks again for watching. We will see you next time. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.